All right, ladies and gentlemen, you got your 2-minute warning. So if you'll come in, find your seat. Let's find our seats. 2-minute warning. No, he's out. Good evening. I will call the June regular meeting of the Oak Ridge City Council to order. We want to thank everyone for their attendance here tonight, both in person and those that are joining us by electronic means. Tonight, our invocation will be led by Police Department Chaplain Daryl Cook, who's a great friend to many of us in this room. Our Pledge of Allegiance will then be led by Seven Pettis, who is a recent Oak Ridge High School graduate and will be attending Austin Peay University in the fall. So with that, Chaplain Cook, if you would come forward, and ladies and gentlemen, please stand.
Let's pray. Almighty Father, you are the giver of every good and perfect gift. We thank you for your blessings, especially for the blessing of this nation in which we live, the freedom which we enjoy, and those who defend and protect that freedom. We pray your blessing upon them. Upon our city leaders, we pray, God, your guidance, your direction, your wisdom. In your holy name we pray it. Amen.
Amen. All right, Seven.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Dotson.
Here.
Councilmember Gleason. Mayor Gooch.
Here.
Councilmember Hammond.
Here.
Councilmember Hensley.
Here.
Councilmember Hope. Here. Councilmember Smith.
Just for the record, so everyone knows, Councilman Gleason is traveling this week, and he looks forward to joining back next month. So with that, our next order of business will be proclamations and public recognitions. Madam Clerk.
For public recognitions, we have a recognition of Oak Ridge Police Department Chaplain Daryl Cook on the occasion of his retirement from the Oak Ridge Police Department Chaplain Corps.
Chief Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few remarks I'd like to make.
Absolutely.
Daryl Cook graduated from Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana with a BA in Social Science and Psychology, continued his education, received a Master of Divinity degree from the Evangelical Theological Seminary in Naperville, Illinois. In 1968, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant chaplain candidate and promoted to first lieutenant of the Air Force Reserves in 1970. During this time, Chaplain Cook became an ordained elder in the North Indiana Conference of the United Methodist Church and served as a pastor for 4 years at Pleasant Lake United Methodist Church and Hanfield United Methodist Church. Chaplain Cook continued to serve as a reserve chaplain at Grissom Air Force Base in Kokomo, Indiana, until he was promoted to captain in an active duty role in the Air Force and was reassigned to Plattsburgh Air Force Base, New York. In his 8 assignments, Chaplain Cook served in a variety of positions from staff chaplain to senior faith group chaplain and culminated as senior installation chaplain at Little Rock Air Force Base, Arkansas, where he retired after 24 and a half years. After retiring in 1998, he settled in Clinton, Tennessee, and he's only so much gardening work you could do, and he decided that he needed to be involved in chaplaincy. And he started pursuing a critical incident management degree or training and spent several hundred hours doing that and became a trainer in the International Critical Incident Stress Management Foundation. In 2002, he started serving as a chaplain in Anderson County Emergency Medical Services, and then began working with local fire departments, and they put together a group, formed a group of the Tennessee Federation of Fire Chaplains and created their stress management team. He then began participating in the International Conference of Police Chaplains training. At that time, he joined Clinton Police Department with their chaplain corps, and after 4 years, Anderson County Sheriff's Department, and then was serving Anderson County EMS and Anderson County Sheriff's Office until 2019. And that's where you introduced me to the chaplain. And he and I sit down, I believe it was on New Year's Eve, if that's right, in 2018, he and I sat down in my office and started talking about what we would like to see. And I don't think I've ever shared this with you. We had been looking at our chaplain corps very seriously. I had been praying and asking God to send someone to me to help me organize our chaplain corps. And it embarrasses him every time I tell that story, but it's true. And I told Captain Muir, I said, God's answered our prayers. He sent the man that we needed to organize our chaplain corps. So now one thing I've asked Chaplain Cook is that even though he's retiring as our senior chaplain, he will remain as my chaplain. He still meet with me on Friday mornings for our private prayer time in my office. So thank you for letting me read that off and share that with you. And Chaplain Cook, would you like to say anything?
No, come on up.
It's been a good ride. I've had a good time. And I will say something that really kind of surprised the chief. In almost, 4 years of working with various leaders, this is the first leader I have worked with. And I've worked with chaplains, by the way, that met with me every week for prayer. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, sir.
And I would just like to say, on behalf of all of us, thank you for your service to our country, to our city, and obviously to our First United Methodist Church in our county. And if you get in too much trouble with your chores around the house, we can always put you back to work.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Next proclamation, Madam Clerk.
We have a proclamation honoring the Sister City Agreement with Naka, Japan, and the 2024 Middle School Student Exchange.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please read the proclamation.
Whereas on October 29, 1990, the city of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, USA, and Nakamachi, and I will butcher this, Ibaraki-ken, Japan, entered into an agreement to establish a Sister City Alliance of International Friendship. And whereas the purpose of this Sister City Alliance was the fostering of mutual understanding and friendship through educational, cultural, and economic exchanges. And whereas exchanges under this partnership have included mutual visits by elected and appointed officials of the two cities and ongoing middle school student exchanges over the past 2 decades. And whereas such exchanges have served to strengthen the Oak Ridge Naka Sister City Alliance and have encouraged the formation of international friendships that promote peace and harmony between our people. And whereas on June 29th to July 8th, 2024, the 29th exchange will occur between the two cities, resuming after a 5-year delay due to COVID-19. And whereas 7 students representing Jefferson and Robertsville Middle Schools are paired with Japanese counterparts, stay in their host homes and attend their schools. And whereas, to prepare for the trip, Oak Ridge students will take lessons in the Japanese language and customs with John Smith, JMS teacher and chairman of the Sister City Support Organization, with class curriculum based on lesson plans implemented for the exchange by the late Shigeko Upaluri, and supplemented by Mana Muramatsu, a Japan outreach coordinator who shares elements of Japanese culture, including dance, cultural dance, origami fan making, traditional Japanese toys, and making rice balls. And whereas the students representing Oak Ridge in the exchange with NACA are Coco Plafau from Jefferson Middle, Jackson Connor, Jefferson Middle, Anna Pickle, Jefferson Middle, James Crawford, Jefferson Middle, Eliam Renee, Robertsville Middle, Ella Tony, Robertsville Middle, and Julie Tift, Robertsville Middle, along with chaperones Matthew Box from Jefferson Middle, Elizabeth Horton from Robertsville Middle, and Ram Upaluri, who will act as a representative of the City of Oak Ridge and the Sister City Support Organization, carrying greetings from the Oak Ridge City Council and Mayor Warren Gooch to the Mayor and Council of Nakashi Ibaraki. And whereas NACA students will travel to Oak Ridge August 21st through 28th, 2024, and would like to have a courtesy visit with Mayor Gooch and City Council on Thursday, August 22nd, and participate in an opening ceremony on that day. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, that the city joins in celebrating the Sister City Agreement with NACA Japan and the 2024 Middle School Student Exchange, and looks forward to welcoming a delegation from NACA Japan to Oak Ridge in August to continue the tradition of building understanding and friendship between our two cultures.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. There are none opposed. And I'm going to ask Vice Mayor Dotson to present the proclamation to the Sister City representatives and those who are going to be representing us in Japan, and certainly we will look forward to having our dear friends from NACA back in Oak Ridge. It's been too long, and really look forward to seeing them as well as the students. They've in our interaction with them, particularly in the council room here, they've always had a pretty good time, and so I think they will again, and we'll certainly look forward to welcoming them into Oak Ridge. So, Mr. Dotson.
Thank you, Mayor.
Come on up here.
First, if you didn't recognize, they have these great shirts on. These were designed by Sean Seifert, Robertsville art teacher, and you did an excellent job, right? Thank you. First of all, I wanted to say something on behalf of the City of Oak Ridge. In a time in our communities and a time in our world when we are having so much division, this group of teachers and this group of students bring us together. And they've been doing that for several years. And we're just honored to have you represent the City of Oak Ridge. And we're looking forward to having our guests come in here from Japan. So thank you so much. I'm going to show you the proclamation. Okay, do we have a spokesperson?
Yeah, I just wanted to, but why don't you present it there to Anna, and
Hey, Anna, how you doing?
since she's actually one of our important people going.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to express our gratitude to the City Council for your consistent, steady support over the years, and we're resuming the exchange for the first time since 2019 due to COVID. So it's really exciting that the city is sending a message to their counterparts in NACA, you know, inviting them to come this August and to resume this relationship that has meant so much to so many Oak Ridge families and so many of the families from NACA. We made up these special commemorative patches for this year's trip, and we wanted to make sure that every member of the council and the key city staff gets one. And we are going to be carrying your best wishes over there to Japan with us when we go. Just so that everybody knows, this is Sean Seifert. I want to make sure I get everybody right, from Robertsville Junior High School. Elizabeth Horton, who will be going on the trip with us. John Smith from Jefferson Junior High School. Ken and Jerry Luckman are not able to be here with us today, but Matthew Box is a chaperone from Jefferson, and of course, most importantly, one of the 7 students that's going, Anna Pickle. And then I will be very proud to represent Oak Ridge when we go over there.
And I failed to mention this, I would like to thank you and your mom, Shigeko, for all that she did to make this happen. So
Yes.
thank you, we miss her.
Yes, yes, well, she would love this, and I think she's kind of with us right now anyway, so.
Thank you.
All right.
Without objections, I would like to add one item under special reports, and I'd like to call on Maria Catron, the Executive Director of the Oak Ridge Housing Authority, to make I think, a really important announcement. Ms. Catron.
Thank you, Mayor Gooch and councilmen and women. I wanted to share that the Oak Ridge Housing Authority has received notification that we have preliminary funding award for the Scarborough project in the amount of $18.5 million in tax-exempt bonds and $12 million in tax credit equity for a total project amount of $30.5 million. So we'll be moving forward with completing that funding requirement. We're going back to the community. Obviously, since we have this preliminary commitment, we're going to be working in earnest to develop the actual site, and that is also with community involvement. So in July, August timeframe, we'll have a community meeting to discuss the design of the actual buildings. So I wanted to share that announcement with the City Council.
Thank you for your hard work and everyone associated with the Housing Authority. Mayor Behan, thank you for your continued dedication to the Housing Authority, and particularly this project. I just think it is absolutely essential and outstanding for the city. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Next item is the consent agenda.
And on the consent agenda, I'm going to take item B off consent in order to make a recognition. And Ms. Smith has asked that we take off item E. So with the remaining items on the consent agenda, is there a motion to approve? Move for approval. Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Madam Clerk, if you would read item B, please.
A confirmation of the appointment of Alan Libby to the Oak Ridge Utility District Board of Commissioners.
Move to approve. Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And I'd like to ask Mr. Libby to come forward and just address council and the audience for just a few seconds here. First, I want to thank you for your service, long-term service on this board, and the important work that you do as chairman and service. And so thank you so much. And thank the board, and thank the management and the employees of Oak Ridge.
Thank you, Mayor Gooch and members of council. I personally very much appreciate your support to the Oak Ridge Utility District and to my service there. I look back, and 35 years ago I was invited as because the board was looking for a young businessman in town to join the board, and I've enjoyed the service on that board during that time. It's I think a tremendous company and asset to the community. We focus on safety, on economy, customer service, and community service. And I know that you all appreciate that we have many of our staff you'll see around the city events and supporting. So thanks to all of you for recognizing the utility district.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, item E, Madam Clerk.
A resolution awarding a contract to M-KO Contractor LLC, Knoxville, Tennessee, for the sanitary sewer lateral hard connection project in an amount not to exceed $200,000.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith?
Yes, I had a concern reading this, that it's the original, well, the contract amount currently is $200,000, but the bid on this, the work was bid out as 85 lateral connections to be repaired, and the bid came in at, I think, $488,000, and the scope was reduced to fit the budget. But I'm concerned about whether we're going to be shortchanging the goals of the project. If we had 85, if staff identified 85 laterals as in significant need of repair, the lateral connections, will we accomplish the goals of this project, or are we sacrificing the objectives for the budget?
The short answer is we'll just have to come back with another contract.
Okay, so you're hoping to do it within this current year?
Pardon me?
So you would be expecting to do it soon, not to,
Yeah,
Push it back.
it may be next fiscal year, but we will, we've trimmed the contract down. We've gone through it and picked out what we think's the worst things. So we will just turn back around and do another contract and either include this in a rehab contract or do it separately. We'll do it one way or the other.
okay, and I know that we've had issues in the past where, you know, we didn't work fast enough and we had excessive infiltration and inflow that caused us to get in trouble with EPA. I'm concerned about whether we're in danger of doing that now or whether this is still consistent with the general plan for improvement.
It is consistent. A lot of what we're doing is, in addition to inflow, is root growth. What happens with these old connections is that in the original technology, we didn't have a hard connect.
They weren't connected, yeah, I understand.
So what we ended up having was roots coming through those connections. We've gone back, started cutting them out. So the first thing we're going after is the places that are stopping up. And then the second thing we'll do is the water. We can handle the water better than we can handle the blockages.
Okay.
So we prioritize.
Okay. Well, I hope we're doing the right thing, so,
Yeah,
thanks.
All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? There are none. It is approved. Thank you. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Under public hearings and first reading of ordinances, you have an ordinance to repeal ordinance 19-06 and to establish the base salary and eligibility for longevity payments for the city judge of the city of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, effective with the new term of office that will commence after certification of the November 5th, 2024 election results, and no public hearing is required.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Rackard, are you taking this one?
Yes, I will start off, and then if Chuck wants to take over, he's welcome to it. So this agenda item is on behalf of the City Judge Review Committee, which is also the Compensation Review Committee, made up of 3 city council members. So by a city council resolution, the city judge's salary is supposed to be evaluated the year in which the term ends. The term of the city judge does end at the end of this year, so this is the year for that to be evaluated. So the committee met, they looked at market data from other city judges, the time frame it had been since the last time the compensation had been addressed, and the committee voted to recommend to city council that the judge's salary be increased to $60,000. By state law, this will not take effect should City Council pass it. It will not take effect until the new term of office. So it'll take effect after certification of the November 5th election. So it does not impact the current sitting judge's salary at this time. And I did confirm last time that the $60,000 was built into the budget in anticipation of City Council's approval, so that it would be in there. So if that's a question, that has been addressed as well. And then I'll turn it over to Chuck.
Mr. Tote.
Yeah, just real quick, we met, myself, Derek, and Mr. Dotson met and talked with Randy Heeman and Tammy about this. It had been since 2006 was the last time the judge salary had been evaluated and it had an increase. So after looking through all the market data and the information that they'd gathered for us, we felt that this was a good point to have. Derek or Jim, do you all have any input on anything?
Great synopsis, that's exactly.
Mr. Henson?
Yeah, I just had one question, and I was looking through the new 2025 compensation plan. Where does the city judge and also the administrative hearing officer?
Sure. They're not listed on the compensation plan because they're not like other city employees that are eligible for merit raises and evaluations every year. The city judge salary cannot change during his or her term of office, and it's set by ordinance by city charter. So that is not a position that shows up in the compensation plan. And the administrative hearing officer is similar in the fact that it's not on the plan, but that is a contract position that city council does, and so that salary is set by resolution.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All those in favor?
Just-
Oh, Ms.
yeah,
Smith. Ms.
Just
Smith.
wanted to make a point of information. We did in fact evaluate the judge's salary every 4 years. But
It had not been changed.
it had not been changed, but it had been evaluated every 4 years. So this is consistent with what happened in the past, basically. So.
All right. Any other questions or comments? The motion is to approve. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? There are none. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Under final adoption of ordinances, you have an ordinance to amend ordinance number 10-2023, which ordinance provides for a budget and appropriations for municipal purposes for the fiscal year which began July 1st, 2023, by adopting a budget and adopting appropriations, by amending said appropriations, and we held the public hearing last week, so no additional public hearing is required on this one.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. We discussed this in rather great detail a week ago. Are there any other questions for Ms. McGinnis or staff on this particular item? Ms. Smith?
If there are members of the public who want to comment on this, even though it's not the public hearing, I hope they'll speak soon. So.
Okay, seeing none, are there any other comments or questions? If not, we're on the board and the motion is to approve.
An ordinance to provide revenue for municipal purposes for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024, by imposing a tax on all property within the city, fixing the rate of the tax, adopting a budget, and adopting appropriations. And we will hold a second public hearing tonight on this ordinance.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. I need a motion to open the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And I will call the public hearing to order. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council on the proposed fiscal year 2025 budget? Seeing none, I need a motion to close the public hearing. Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All right, the motion is to approve. Questions for Ms. McGinnis or staff? Ms. Smith, you have, okay. We did, again, go through this budget in great detail last week. Ms. McGinnis, you have anything you want to say? Mr. Heeman? All right. With that, we are on the board, and the motion is to approve the fiscal year 2025 budget on final reading. Ayes 6, no nays, and the fiscal year budget is approved for 2025. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Under resolutions, you have a resolution authorizing the city to accept, if awarded, a Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, said grant requiring a 50% local match.
Move for approval. Moved and seconded. Chief Smith, I'm going to call on you in just a minute. I want everyone to know this program is named after former United States Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont, who served the United States Senate honorably for 48 years. He's certainly one of my heroes in terms of public service, and he chaired the Senate Appropriations Committee. He chaired the Senate Judicial Committee, and so this is a really important piece of legislation that has made a difference in our country. And Chief Smith, you're recognized.
Thanks, sir. This is a grant that we apply for each year since 1998. Normally, it provides us with about $5,000 a year, matching our expenditures for bulletproof vests for our officers.
All right. Any questions for Chief Smith? Seeing none, we're on the board. The motion is to approve. Ayes 6, no nays, and the resolution is approved. Thank you, Chief. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution approving an updated compensation plan effective July 7th, 2024, which implements an across-the-board 3% cost of living adjustment, as well as changes such as reclassifications and new job positions as incorporated into the approved FY 2025 budget.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Alt.
Sorry about that. You guys just approved our budget on a second reading, so now we need to start incorporating those changes, and that's what this item does here. That budget proposed a 3% pay increase across the board. The new compensation plan takes all of our existing pay scales and applies that 3% increase to our scales. In addition, it incorporates the new positions that were approved in this budget, such as golf technician and conference center and events supervisor. And per our ordinance, any changes to pay grades and positions that were adopted during this previous fiscal year need to be incorporated as well. Those have also been included in this document, such as some name changes to position. For example, we took web and database developer, changed that name to be database technician to make it reflect more of what the current job was. Are there any questions?
Mr. Hope, you have any comments?
No, I think no, everything went well. We went through and had a good evaluation. Again, all three of us met with staff and went through this in conjunction with the 3% across all pay scales to make sure that we were funded through the 2% STEP program and continue to move that forward as well. Everything went well.
Mr. Hammond, Mr. Dotson, any other comments? Okay. All right.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
I sent you all an email on Friday because I made a slight error in the attachment to this resolution. So we had approved this item in our Granicus system a few weeks ago. And after we had put it in there, Mr. Alt had noticed that there was one job title that was slightly incorrect. So fire inspector should be fire codes inspector. And then facilities manager had just not made it on the pay plan anywhere. So we put that in there in the appropriate pay grade where that position falls. And then we updated some language about an explanation of what the range amount is. So I sent all of you an updated plan on Friday and printed out a bigger one for you so you could see the front part where we made those changes. That's not the entire comp plan printed out, but it is the one for the majority of the employees. There were no changes made to the other attachments for fire or electric, and I'm missing one. But if you would make a motion to substitute the attachment to have the correct document, please.
So moved.
Thank you.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment, and you kept saying aye? Aye. So we are now back on the resolution to adopt the compensation plan for 2025 as amended. Mr. Hensley,
Yeah, I'd just like to say I'm not on the Budget and Finance Committee, but y'all have done some really fine work. And when I look through these numbers, it really makes me proud of Oak Ridge because we're taking care of our city staff, and we have an excellent and incredibly good city staff. And I've lived in this town for 56 years, and so I see that every day.
Well, it starts with the Compensation Committee and then goes to Budget and Finance.
Right.
So, okay. All right. Yes, that's exactly right. All right, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Ayes 6, no nays, and it is approved. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
I should have put the class plan right under that. I apologize for that. So Eric's got to get up and come back. A resolution authorizing the purchase of one 2024 Ford F-450 from Ford of Murfreesboro, utilizing state contract pricing in an amount not to exceed $83,977 for the Public Works Department.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions on this particular item for Mr. Berg? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Ayes 6, no nays, and the resolution is approved with regard to the purchase of the replacement vehicle. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Now we'll have Eric back again with a resolution amending the oh no, we've got something else to do before that. A resolution amending the continuing services agreement with Orchard, Hiltz, and McClement Incorporated for professional services related to lead service line inventory support to increase the compensation to an amount not to exceed $250,000.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Berg.
So previously, we had come to you and indicated we were going to apply for a grant through TDEC for the lead service line inventory. We received that grant. In so doing, we have $250,000 to spend on that inventory. It is a short time. It has to be done by October. We had begun the process with OHM, and at this point would like to continue moving forward with OHM performing that work for us. This does allow us to contract out a lot of the field work to them and keep our staff on basically line replacement and things like that they typically do.
All right, are there any questions for Mr. Berg? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Ayes 6, no nays, and the resolution to approve the contract with OHM is approved. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Now, a resolution approving the classification plan for fiscal year 2025.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Alt.
Thank you, Mayor. Back again. Per Article 4, Section 4.2 of the Personnel Ordinance, in addition to our compensation plan, City Council is supposed to every year approve a classification plan. For various reasons, that actually has not happened since fiscal year 2020, which means I believe summer of 2019 is the last time this was reviewed and approved by council. So we needed to make some updates accordingly. The classification plan is only supposed to have the job title, the pay grade of each position, and whether or not that position is FLSA exempt or non-exempt. Accordingly, this document has been updated to incorporate all of the various position changes we have made over the last fiscal years, such as new job titles, compressing job titles together. The tables within the memo should have documented all of those changes. It also includes any new changes that we made in the upcoming budget, such as the golf technician positions. There is one change from the fiscal year 2020 version that was removed from the current version. The old version had class codes. These were 4-digit numbers that were used within the city's computer system, the AS400, and in our current system, Kayenta. Outside of the personnel office and the finance department, those numbers really don't mean anything and were pretty superfluous. So consulted with the city attorney to make sure they were not necessary, and we went ahead and removed those to help clean up the document.
With that excellent explanation, and thank you for it, are there any questions for Mr. Alt?
Yeah, just one question. One of the elements of this is the designation of whether the position is exempt or non-exempt under the FLSA. I know there have been reports of pending federal rules changes on that. Are we likely to have to change anything after new rules are going to place, or you're pretty confident that this will fit with the current federal designations?
Yes, so the new FLSA rules will increase the minimum salary threshold in order to be considered for exempt status. That will increase in July, and then it will increase again on January 1. For the July increase, we do not have any changes anticipated. Currently, there is one position in the city that as of January will need to be reclassified to exempt at that, or excuse me, will either need to change from exempt to non-exempt at that time, or will need to be reclassified within our pay grades so that it can stay exempt.
Okay, thanks. I'm glad to know you're on the case. Thank you.
All right. With that explanation, we're on the board, and the motion is to approve. Ayes 6, no nays. The resolution is approved. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
A resolution awarding a contract to Rackley Roofing Company Incorporated, Carthage, Tennessee, for the design and construction of the roof replacements at the Civic Center Recreation Building in an amount not to exceed $502,858.54, and Woodland Elementary School in an amount not to exceed $1,306,088.54.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. Any comments?
Jason Griffith, Facility Manager. No, this is for the design and build of the roof for the Civic Center that we've been currently working on for quite some time to get the roof finished, and for Woodland School, which is much needed. So both of those roofs are in dire shape. They've well exceeded their lifetime, and both of them are due for a roof immediately.
Mr. Dotson.
I know the people at Woodland Elementary School, and I know they're tired of using buckets over there, so thank you so much for this.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Ayes 6, no nays. And the resolution is approved, the contract with the Rackley Roofing Company. Good job. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the transmittal of comments to the U.S. Department of Energy regarding the proposed transfer of 533 acres of land at the East Tennessee Technology Park, and specifically within the Black Oak Ridge Conservation Easement, to the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Move for approval.
Second. Moved and seconded. Ms. Fitzgerald, why don't you kind of explain where we are, and then I think we'll have an amendment.
Okay. Yes, sir. As stated in the agenda, we received news through Roane County public notice at the end of May that the Department of Energy is proposing to transfer acreage at the East Tennessee Technology Park to the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency through a covenant deferral process, and this is a process that allows property that has not been fully cleaned up to be transferred to a third party with the approval of the EPA and the state of Tennessee, and it's my understanding that the governor also has to concur that the proposed transfer will be protective of human health and the environment. So this is approximately 533 acres, and in talking to the Department of Energy, they agreed to take our comments, even though the comment period was at the ended at the end of May. So we had a conversation, which you will see in the first comment, about recommendations regarding receiving notices. And because this isn't quote-unquote a NEPA document, the only requirement, as I was told, was that they would have to put a public notice in the paper. So if we hadn't seen the notice, we would not have necessarily known this was occurring. So staff has reviewed the document and prepared comments for transmittal, which we recommend. And then we received some additional comments over the weekend from Council Member Smith, and they were terrific comments, and we recommend that we include those in the comments. And the city clerk sent those out today. They are on the screen, the additions in red for your consideration. So that's basically the background. So,
Ms. Smith, I suggest you make a motion to amend what's before us to include your comments. Moved and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment? We're going to do the amendment first, unless you got a question about the amendment.
Are your comments in red? Is that what?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Motion to approve the amended comments. All those in favor and saying aye. Aye. None opposed. All right. Now we're back on the comments as amended that are in red that we have before us. They're not necessarily designated on the screen, are they?
yes, they're the red ones. Yes, sir.
Well, you can't see the red.
The
Oh,
additions.
over here.
Yes.
Okay. On the right.
Yes,
On the
sir.
right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. In any event, I just think this is well done, and I appreciate Councilwoman Smith's action on this. Any other comments by staff? Ms. Smith?
Yeah. I'd like to comment that this was a very disturbing action by the Department of Energy. The fact that it was apparently only public noticed in the Roane County News. Well, it's an action in the city of Oak Ridge, but they found a newspaper and put a notice in a newspaper, which apparently met their goals for public involvement. But it didn't communicate with us. That was of great concern. The Budget and Finance Committee heard about this less than 2 weeks ago, and Ms. Fitzgerald had a big job in
Sure did.
figuring out how to address this, and I really appreciate the effort she made. So the action of Department of Energy to do this without telling us, and is the reason why we're late in commenting. There's a lot about the proposal which is disturbing. So we've got a lot to say to them, and I hope that we can meet with DOE to discuss this rather than deal with this at arm's length, because it is the local Department of Energy that we're interacting with. We should be able to have some real communication rather than this kind of remote control action. But so really appreciate staff's attentiveness to this and hard work in getting this going. And I was glad to just add some more thoughts after starting from the good work that staff had done.
Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I see our planning director back there, Mr. Blasius, and I'm going to ask you, while you don't have the answer, how many times have I said we needed to put the DOE reservation and the properties on the comprehensive plan so we at least have a document that says in the future what we think it's going to be used for?
Any other comments? Seeing none, the motion is to approve the comments as amended. And all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. There are none opposed, just for the record. Thank you all very much. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
A resolution to approve a contract with Pew CPAs, Knoxville, Tennessee, to conduct an audit of the city's accounts and funds for fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $91,500 and providing up to 4 renewal options.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McGinnis.
Yes, at the toward the end of our audit for fiscal '23, our auditors, Culture and Justice, informed us that due to the retirement of a senior in their firm, that they were no longer going to do governmental audits. So we requested a list of area firms that did governmental type audits. Not all of them, I believe, did governments. And we sent out proposals, requests for proposals to each of those firms. And of course, it was published on our website. We got one firm that responded. It was Pew CPAs. They previously audited the city from 2006 to 2013, and they did, a satisfactory job in the performance of their duties, and we recommend that they would be awarded the contract.
And is this recommendation, was it taken to Budget Finance Committee?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right. Any questions or comments? Questions first to staff. Any questions for Ms. McGinnis? Comments by council? All right, seeing none. Ms. Smith, do you have?
I think we'll do well with Pew Associates, and it's unfortunate that there's so little interest anymore in doing these audits, because it's going to be a challenge to cities like ours to get the required auditing done. But they did a good job in the past, and I have great confidence that we can do well with them in the future.
All right, the motion is to approve, and we are on the board. Six ayes, no nays, and the resolution is approved. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to submit an offer for the purchase of real property containing approximately 2 acres in an amount not to exceed $200,000 as a potential site for Fire Station 2.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Heeman, Chief Solomon, who's going to go first?
I'll take the first stab at this, and Travis can finish. You'll recall that we have, for those in the audience that don't know, we've got some structural issues at Fire Station 2. We've got an area that is sinking. It was repaired. Was that back in the 90s, I believe? I mean, we've spent a fair amount of money. It continues to deteriorate. So Chief has looked for a long time for some property. We were approached, as you know, by Hexa about a swap for some property. We were unable to do due diligence on that until today, when we received notification that we can proceed with the due diligence on that. Nonetheless, we've got another parcel that we're also interested in, and I'll let Chief tell you about that. I will say the one thing you'll probably notice is the address is not in here, and we didn't want to reveal that until we got it under contract, just because we know how things, prices sometimes go up when the city's interested. So we just want to make sure that we get that under contract. So I'll let the Chief tell you a little bit more.
Thank you, sir. Summarized it pretty well. So we did find, we're in the process of looking at some property that's in the geographic area where we need to build Station 2. We would, once we enter this contract for this property, we will do our due diligence, civil, geo services. We actually already have our architect ready to help us with that, and to acquire the necessary professional design firms to help us with that due diligence. So I guess that's about it. I can answer any questions y'all may have.
Any questions for Chief Solomon? Seeing none, the motion is to approve this resolution going forward with regard to the due diligence on this property when we're on the board. Motion is to approve.
Thank you.
6 ayes, no nays. The resolution is approved. The next item of business is appearance of citizens. Citizens shall be permitted to address City Council about matters that have not been on the agenda tonight. Any citizen wishing to do so shall raise his or her hand, proceed to the public lectern after being recognized, state your full name and address and the purpose for your appearance before council. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and shall relate to matters of city business. They shall not generally result in a formal response or action at the time of the presentation because, in most cases, neither council nor the staff will be prepared to respond effectively. However, I may answer the questions, direct the city manager to do so, or suggest the city manager work with the citizen to effect the resolution of the particular matter. Statements that are purely political in nature will not be allowed, such as campaign speeches, announcements of candidacy for office, nor will announcements of a civic or social event that is unrelated to city business. Is there any member of the audience wishing to address council? Yes, ma'am, if you come forward.
My name is Benel Dominguez, and I live at 386 Robertsville Road here in Oak Ridge.
Okay, if you would just speak up just a little bit more,
Okay.
get a little bit closer to the microphone.
Sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so Benel Dominguez, and my address is 386 Robertsville Road here in Oak Ridge. And I actually reached out to all of you a couple weeks ago via email regarding an issue with animal control and whether or not potbelly pigs are considered livestock in the city of Oak Ridge. We had some issues, and I've since been cited for possessing livestock. Initially, when I moved here, we were told that we were allowed to have him. We brought him from out of state, and my understanding is that there has been one home in the city that has kind of forced the animal control department to enforce this old municipal code. So I spoke with Lieutenant Newman, and she is being helpful in giving us some time to get this resolved. I understand it's going to be a long and arduous process to try and get this updated with the city. My hope is not to actually change the code to allow pigs in town, just whoever wants them, but to try to start a permit system that would kind of model after the city of Knoxville. I did bring a copy of theirs, which ensures that the residents are caring for the animals properly, that they're in an enclosed space, that they're, properly taken care of, vaccinated, and that sort of thing. I understand there's going to be a little bit of oversight from animal control, which I don't think they're all that fond of, but I was hoping with, maybe an inspection fee plus an annual permit fee that we could offset some of the cost for the inspections by animal control. That's it.
Thank you very much. And have you provided that information
Yes,
to the
sir.
city clerk?
I can.
Yes, please do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the audience wishing to address council tonight? To my right, there is none. To my left, there is none. All right. We'll give all right. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Under elections and appointments, we have the appointment of a city council representative to the Youth Advisory Board screening panel. And Mr. Dotson has been serving in that position most recently, and he said he would like to continue in that position. So.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And Mr. Dotson, thank you for your willingness to continue serving in that capacity. I think that's important. All right, our next item of business are council requests for new business items or future briefings. We've been covering a lot of subjects in the last several meetings. Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question relative to her comment about the pet pigs. Do we have options in mind? Have we talked about it enough? I mean, I've read all your emails, and it's a dilemma. What are the options?
Mr. Tim?
We are waiting for direction from City Council. We're happy to look at options and bring those at a future work session. I think obviously what is done in Knoxville is an option. Reclassification and treating pot-bellied pigs differently is an option. So there are several options. We can bring those to you in work session and talk about those if it is your desire for us to do so.
I'd like to request that we include it in a work session.
Okay.
That's fine. Mr. Dotson?
I'm just going to add to that. I really appreciate you reaching out to City Council, all of us. And my family's pet is a part of the family. And I would like, again, if we could consider either grandfathering this in or also permits for such animals. So thank you.
Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I'd like to weigh in on the same topic. Like the citizen who came to us tonight, I had been under the impression that our ordinance somehow identified small pigs as customary pets that were permitted, but it's clear when I read the ordinance, I said, oh gosh, no it doesn't. It defines them as livestock. And I think it is important to look at changing trends in animal ownership, and if we can determine that something is safe to have, we ought to be able to consider the possibility of allowing it. And I definitely appreciate the effort of Lieutenant Newman and the citizen to look for options that might resolve this situation. The Knoxville ordinance described sounds like a good alternative to some sort of general allowance for this kind of animal. I do understand from what I've read on the internet that there can be problems with small pigs that grow into very large pigs and become a challenge for the pig owner. So I think that a permit program makes a lot of sense, but I'd be very happy to pursue something like that as a means of addressing this sort of new trend in pets. So appreciate your coming tonight and willingness to work with the city to find a solution.
Mr. Hammond?
Yep, just echoing that. Really appreciate also the detail of the email. I mean, I found that a fascinating read, and the way you outlined the concern and highlighted the cooperation with the city and the collaborative efforts that each of you have had in resolving this. I think that's the spirit of sort of who we are here in Oak Ridge. So I want to say thank you for that. And just looking at the collaboration and the conversation, and even you bringing potential solutions, I don't anticipate this would be something that would take a long. I know the process can be difficult, but hopefully we can sort of navigate that as well. So thank you, and I thank you.
All right. Other requests for new business or future briefings? Mr. Heaven, your city manager report.
Yes, sir. I've got a few items. I'll try to be brief. Our finance director, Janice McGinnis, is working on the electric department loan that we mentioned. That will come back to you on the 18th at our work session as a special called meeting so we can get that in place. It required some public notice that kept us from doing that tonight. Also, wanted to point out that Deputy Manager Tom Pessimer and I have toured Linden School with school officials, and we'll be looking at options there as it relates to, the potential of rehabbing that school versus new school. it obviously, I'm sure everybody in this room understands there are a lot of topo issues there, so we're going to look carefully at all that, and it is a solid structure, but there are some issues to overcome on that site, so we'll study that carefully and report back as we do. I mentioned the HEXA letter. Just wanted to tell you that we did get an agreement that we can move forward now, and we're encouraged to go on with our due diligence on that. So we may do both of these at the same time, understanding that there's a lot of places in this city where you dig and you find rock and other things, so probably wouldn't hurt us to do geotech on both of those sites as we progress. Also wanted to say you had a citizen last meeting that talked about the multimodal and CMAQ projects. I am pleased to announce the extension of the SR 95 multimodal sidewalk project and the CMAQ Phase 2 project. That's our signal timing optimization program. Those have been extended through June 2026, but I want to point out that that doesn't mean that we're dragging our feet. What that means is that we'll be able to have a notice to proceed on those for construction documents in the fall of 2024. This approval that we just received enables us to advertise the project and with the goal of opening bids before the end of 2024. So understand that that is a priority and we're on it, and we look forward to completing those projects. I also want to point out that those federal funds will actually allow us to do 3 times what we would typically do. I know it's been a little bit of a long wait to put all these things together, but we'll be able to do 3 times what we would normally do in a year because of these funds. So, you know, my hat's off to staff for sticking with this and drudging through the process to get everything approved. And we're getting closer and look forward to starting that project. And I'm happy to take questions.
Mr. Dodson, you got a question or comment?
I've got a comment, if that's okay. First of all, appreciate your update, and also I wanted to mention this. This Thursday, the 13th, our Planning Commission has done a great job. They had a steering committee that went through several applications, actually 8 different applications of different firms that could work with us on the comprehensive plan. And they're going to come to, that steering committee is going to come to Planning Commission on Thursday the 13th, if anybody would like to come and hear their findings. And then after that, then that recommendation will come on to City Council for consideration.
Ms. Racker, do you have a report? All right, and certainly want to remind people about the dedication of the baby box Wednesday the 12th at 1 p.m. at Fire Station 3. Okay. Mr. Hope will be on his vacation to the next, on the 18th.
I will be somewhere in Canada.
Good. Just as long as you're careful.
Always.
All right, is there anything else to come before council? I want to, again, thank everyone for your attendance and your participation. And with that, we are adjourned.